The penthouse was silent. Too silent. Jeff Harrison leaned against the glass window, staring down at the New York skyline. The city was alive with laughter, horns, and flashing lights, but his heart was cold. He had it all: the money, the mansion, the name on Forbes. Yet when he returned home each night, the only sound greeting him was the hum of electricity and his own breathing. He thought of his late father, who had told him once, "Son, money will build you a house, but love makes it a home." Tonight, Jeff was standing in a house, not a home. Memories cut like glass. Melissa had cried when he refused to buy her a yacht. Crocodile tears that dried up the moment she met another man with deeper pockets. Caroline had promised forever, only to vanish when his company's stock dipped. Every woman seemed to love Jeff the billionaire, but none ever loved Jeff the man. He pressed a hand against his chest, whispering, "Am I even lovable without all this money?" That night he sat with a glass of bourbon, drowning in thoughts. What if? His voice trailed. Marcus, his driver and only real friend, tilted his head. What if what? What if I let the world see me without the wealth? What if I stripped away the billions and let a woman meet me first? Marcus frowned. "Boss, you're playing with fire. People can be cruel." Jeff gave a sad smile. "People are already cruel. At least this way I'll know the truth." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "Jeff, I grew up on the rough side of Brooklyn. Trust me, poverty ain't a costume. You can't just wear it for fun." "I don't want to wear it for fun," Jeff whispered. "I want to wear it for clarity." For a long time, Marcus said nothing. Finally, he sighed. "If this is the only way you'll find peace, I'll help you." The plan was bold. Marcus would pose as the billionaire. Jeff would become his driver and housekeeper. For once, the mansion would feel upside down. The master would serve. The servant would rule. Jeff's chest tightened, not with fear of humiliation, but with the hope that somewhere out there, maybe one woman could love him stripped of everything. Wealth had made Jeff confident. Too confident. Now, dressed in a black uniform, he struggled to iron shirts without burning the fabric. He spilled wine trying to pour it the driver's way. His hands trembled when he opened doors. "Relax, boss," Marcus chuckled. "You look like you're auditioning for a bad movie." Jeff forced a laugh, but deep inside he was terrified. Not of being exposed, but of being invisible. Across town, Brenda Carter was fighting her own battles. At the diner, she worked long shifts, her apron stained with coffee and grease. Her shoes hurt, her back ached, and at the end of the day, she barely made enough to cover rent and her mother's medical bills. "Life isn't fair," she muttered, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Rich people waste money on champagne while I can't even buy my brother new shoes." Her bitterness wasn't born from greed. It was born from exhaustion. One crisp morning, Marcus, dressed in Jeff's $1,000 suit, walked into Brenda's cafe. She noticed him immediately. Confidence walked before him, money stitched into his sleeves. He left a $100 tip for a $2 coffee. Brenda raised an eyebrow. "Must be nice to throw money around like that." Marcus smirked. "Maybe you should let me throw some your way. How about lunch?" Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Why not? A little rich man charity might brighten my day." A week later, Marcus invited her to his mansion. Brenda pretended not to be impressed, but her eyes widened at the marble staircase, the chandeliers, the golden art on the walls. "This place is something," she muttered. "Guess I finally know how the other half lives." That's when she noticed Jeff, standing by the car in a driver's uniform, head slightly bowed. "Who's that?" Brenda asked. "Oh, that's just Jeff," Marcus said casually. "My driver. He handles the house too." Brenda gave Jeff a quick glance and scoffed. "Figures. He looks like a nobody already." When Jeff opened the door for her, she brushed past him with a smirk. "Pathetic," she muttered loud enough for him to hear. "Imagine being a grown man wiping another man's shoes. What a bitch." Her words cut deeper than knives. Jeff's jaw clenched, but he forced a polite smile. For days, Brenda visited the mansion. She laughed at Marcus's jokes, asked about his investments, and hinted at her dreams of escaping poverty. But every time her eyes landed on Jeff, they hardened. "You move too slow," she snapped one afternoon. "No wonder you'll never be more than a driver." Jeff swallowed the insult, silently studying the pain behind her sharp tongue. Alone in the servants' quarters, Jeff sat on the edge of his small bed, fists clenched. Is this who she really is? Another woman chasing gold? Or is her anger just a mask? Tears threatened to fall, but he blinked them back. Maybe I'll never be loved for me. One night, Jeff overheard Brenda on the phone. Her voice cracked with despair. "Mom, I'm trying to find a way out. I don't care if I have to beg. I'll get the money for your medicine." For the first time, Jeff saw her not as cruel, but as broken. Her bitterness was survival. Back in his tiny mirror, Jeff stared at his reflection. The man looking back was no billionaire, just a lonely soul, aching to be loved. "Is Brenda cruel?" he whispered. "Or is she the wounded heart I've been waiting for?" For the first time in years, hope flickered. And fear. Jeff followed Brenda one afternoon after she stormed out of the mansion. He found her at a community shelter, kneeling beside children with worn-out shoes, serving food with a soft smile. It stunned him. The same woman who called him a bitch just hours ago was now singing to a child who clung to her like a mother. Maybe she wasn't all anger. Maybe she had cracks of light that poverty had tried to bury. The next week, Brenda's old car broke down on a rainy night. She kicked the tire, muttering curses. Jeff, still in his driver's uniform, approached quietly. "Need a hand?" She rolled her eyes. "Great. The help wants to play mechanic." But Jeff didn't argue. He knelt in the mud, fixed her car, and walked away without waiting for thanks. She stared at his retreating figure, confused. One evening, Jeff overheard Brenda confiding in Marcus over wine. "I'm so tired of being poor," she whispered. "I want a life where I don't have to beg for rent. I want to marry rich. I need to." Her voice was heavy, almost desperate. Jeff's chest tightened. She wasn't after love. She was after escape. Back in his tiny servant's room, Jeff sat in the dark. Her words echoed like thunder. "I want to marry rich." He pressed his palms against his face, whispering, "She's no different. I was a fool to believe she might be." For the first time, he considered ending the charade. Brenda lashed out again the next day when Jeff accidentally spilled juice on her dress. "You're so useless," she screamed. "You're nothing but a fucking bitch, Jeff. That's all you'll ever be." Her words broke him. He clenched his fists, trembling. For a split second, he almost screamed back, "I own this house. I own everything you're standing on." But he swallowed his pride. Silence was his shield. That night, Jeff found her outside, crying on the phone. "Mom, the hospital says you can't wait any longer, but I don't have the money." Her voice cracked, raw with despair. Jeff's heart softened, even through the anger she had thrown at him. The next morning, Brenda rushed into the hospital, only to find her mother's bill already covered. The doctors said an anonymous donor had paid in full. Tears streamed down her face. Who would do this for us? She thought of Marcus first, but he denied it. She never suspected the quiet driver who slipped away unnoticed. Brenda began to watch Jeff more closely. Why did he always carry himself with dignity, even when she insulted him? Why did his hands look too refined for a driver? Why did his eyes carry pain she couldn't explain? Doubt crawled into her heart. Who exactly is he? One evening, Marcus let his tongue slip. "You know Jeff isn't as simple as you think." Brenda narrowed her eyes. "What do you mean by that?" Marcus stammered, but the seed had been planted. Brenda watched Jeff polishing Marcus's car, His movements were graceful, almost practiced, like someone who wasn't serving but performing. "Why do you act like you're above this job?" she snapped. Jeff looked up, eyes burning with sadness. Because maybe I was. One stormy evening, Brenda fainted at the mansion from exhaustion. Jeff carried her gently to a guest bed, covered her with a blanket, and sat by her side until morning. She awoke to find her shoes cleaned and a glass of water on the nightstand. She whispered, "Why do you care?" But Jeff was already gone. Brenda saw Jeff at the hospital again, this time reading to a child whose mother couldn't make it. Her chest tightened. Why would a driver do all this? Something inside her shifted, though she fought to hide it. Late one night, Brenda was nearly robbed outside a subway station. Before she could scream, Jeff appeared out of the shadows, fighting the attacker off. He bled from a cut on his arm, but he brushed it off. "Are you hurt?" She trembled, staring at him. "Why would you risk your life for me?" Jeff didn't answer. Brenda's mind spun. He was too brave for a driver, too kind for a servant, too proud for a nobody. She began wondering, who is Jeff really? But Jeff avoided her eyes, afraid the truth would ruin everything. That night, Brenda lay awake, tears on her pillow. She thought of the insults she had thrown, the names she had called him. Yet, he had saved her, cared for her, and healed her mother's pain. Her chest ached. Maybe I've been wrong about him. Maybe. He's the one person I've been waiting for all along. Brenda avoided Jeff for days after the robbery incident. She didn't know how to face him without remembering the way his arms shielded her. Every time she glanced at him, her chest tightened. But his eyes were always distant, like he was carrying a secret she wasn't ready to know. Brenda came home one evening to find groceries stacked neatly in the kitchen, fresh, expensive items she could never afford. Marcus denied buying them. Jeff stayed silent. Her lips trembled. Why would anyone do this for me? She knew the answer, but her pride refused to admit it. One night, Brenda caught Jeff on the balcony, staring at the city lights. "Why do you never fight back when I insult you?" she asked softly. He didn't turn. "Because sometimes silence protects us from saying things we'll regret forever." His words struck her harder than any insult she had ever thrown at him. The next morning she lashed out again, calling him useless when he forgot to hand her a file. But minutes later, when she stumbled on the stairs, it was Jeff's arms that caught her before she hit the ground. She clung to him for longer than she should have, her anger melting into confusion. While cleaning Jeff's small room, Brenda found an old photograph tucked beneath his pillow. Jeff in a tailored suit, standing beside a luxury car. Her hands shook. That's no driver. That evening, Brenda stormed into the garage. "Who are you, Jeff?" she demanded. "Don't lie to me." His jaw tightened. "I'm no one important." Her voice broke. "Then why do I feel like you're everything I've been searching for?" Jeff said nothing. His silence screamed louder than words. Brenda's eyes filled with tears. She ran inside, slamming the door, hating herself for caring about someone she once called worthless. Brenda's mother fell sick again. The doctors shook their heads, more bills, more treatments. She sat in the hospital corridor, sobbing into her hands. God, why can't life give me a break? Moments later, Jeff appeared, kneeling in front of her. "You're not alone, Brenda. You'll never be." She looked up, broken, and for the first time she let him hold her. His hand on her back, steady and warm, melted the walls she had built. Her whisper was barely audible. "Why do you keep helping me when I don't deserve it?" He replied softly. "Because sometimes love isn't about deserving. It's about giving." From that night, Brenda couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Jeff's face, his arms around her, his voice echoing in her heart. But fear gnawed at her. Falling for a driver wasn't in her plan. It wasn't part of her escape from poverty. Yet her heart betrayed her. Marcus noticed the shift. Careful, Brenda, he said sharply. That driver will drag you down. He's not your kind. But Brenda's reply shocked even herself. Maybe he's better than anyone I've ever known. Marcus grew jealous, watching the way Brenda's eyes followed Jeff. He plotted ways to expose him, to humiliate him, to remind Brenda of her place. But every attempt backfired, because Jeff carried himself with quiet strength Marcus could never match. One rainy night, Brenda slipped on the road as a speeding car approached. Jeff lunged without thinking, pushing her out of the way. The car clipped him instead, sending him crashing onto the pavement. Brenda's scream echoed into the storm. Jeff! Hours later, Brenda sat by his hospital bed, clutching his hand. His face was pale, his breathing shallow. Tears fell freely. Please don't leave me. Not now. Not when I'm just starting to see who you are. She kissed his hand. Her pride shattered. For once, love spoke louder than her fear. When Jeff finally stirred, his eyes fluttering open, Brenda leaned close. Her voice trembled, raw and unguarded. I don't care if you're a driver, a billionaire, or nothing at all. Just don't leave me. Because I think I'm falling in love with you. Jeff's lips curved faintly, but his heart raced. The secret he carried was closer than ever to breaking free. Jeff left the hospital, but his steps were heavy. His body was weak, his heart even weaker. Brenda stayed close, her hands hovering over him like he might break at any second. I told you I'm fine, Jeff whispered, forcing a smile. Brenda's eyes glistened. Don't you dare scare me like that again. It wasn't anger. It was fear. And love she could no longer hide. One night, Brenda caught sight of scars across Jeff's shoulder when he changed his shirt. Where did you get these? She asked softly. Jeff froze. His eyes darkened with memories. From a life I can't talk about. Brenda's chest ached. Who really are you, Jeff? In the garage, Marcus leaned against the car, eyes sharp. Boss, he said under his breath. You're pushing it too far with Brenda. Jeff tightened his jaw. She has a right to choose who she loves. Don't test me, Marcus. Marcus shook his head. I'm only protecting you. If the truth comes out too soon, you'll lose her. Jeff looked away, his fists trembling. And if I keep hiding it, I might lose her anyway. Brenda wrestled with her heart alone at night. How can I love a man I don't understand? What if he's dangerous? What if everything is a lie? But then she remembered the way he shielded her with his own body, the way his tears fell in the hospital. Her heart whispered louder than her doubts. He loves you. On Brenda's birthday, Jeff didn't bring diamonds or gold. Instead, he set up a quiet dinner in a small room, candles, flowers, and a simple cake. When Brenda walked in, her hand covered her mouth. Jeff, no one's ever done this for me. Tears streamed down her face as she hugged him tight, resting her cheek on his chest. For the first time, she wasn't afraid of her feelings. The candles flickered. Jeff bent down, hesitant. But when her lips brushed his, the world stopped. It wasn't just a kiss. It was two souls confessing what words could never carry. After that night, Brenda avoided Jeff again. Her heart was terrified. He had too much power over her. Marcus noticed. Falling for the driver, huh? He muttered with a smirk. Brenda said nothing, but her silence admitted the truth. Marcus's insults couldn't kill what was already alive in her. One afternoon, a wealthy woman visited Marcus's mansion. She gasped when she saw Jeff. Mr. Anderson, what are you doing here dressed like that? Brenda froze. Mr. Anderson? Jeff quickly forced a laugh. She must be mistaken. But Brenda's heart thundered. That night she broke. How many secrets are you hiding from me, Jeff? Jeff's chest tightened. He wanted to spill everything, but Marcus's warning echoed in his head. Brenda's voice cracked. I gave you my heart, Jeff. And still, you lie. Later, Brenda found a sealed envelope in Jeff's drawer. Her hands trembled as she opened it. It wasn't a driver's salary. It was a bank statement with millions. And the name, J. Anderson Enterprises. When Jeff returned, Brenda stood with the letter in her hand. "Tell me the truth," she whispered, her voice shaking, "or I swear I'll walk out." The storm outside raged, lightning flashing through the window. Jeff's voice broke. "I never wanted you to love me for my money. That's why Marcus helps me keep the act. I just wanted something real. I wanted you." Brenda's heart shattered. "So you let me insult you? Treat you like trash? While you watched and said nothing?" Jeff reached for her. "No. I wasn't mocking you. I was praying you'd see me, not the wealth." But Brenda's tears cut through him. "You should have trusted me with the truth. Maybe I would have loved you even more." She packed her bags, sobbing. Jeff stood outside in the rain, powerless, watching the only woman who ever touched his soul walk away. Her last words burned deeper than any wound. "Secrets destroy love, Jeff. And you destroyed us." Jeff wandered through his mansion, rooms echoing with silence. Every corner reminded him of Brenda, her laughter, her stubborn glares, even her insults. Money meant nothing. Without her, the house was just an empty shell. Back at her small apartment, Brenda cried herself to sleep every night. She told herself she hated Jeff, but her tears told the truth. Her mother noticed and said softly, "Baby, love doesn't always show up perfect. Sometimes it shows up in disguise." Marcus, Jeff's driver, noticed how broken his boss looked. One evening he said quietly, "Sir, don't lose hope. Miss Brenda may be hurt, but love this strong doesn't die. Give her space, but don't give up." Jeff nodded, his eyes heavy with pain. "You think she'll ever forgive me, Marcus?" Marcus sighed. "If it's real, she will. Real love always finds its way back." Weeks later, Brenda's office sent her to cover a charity gala. Her heart stopped when she saw Jeff at the podium, dressed in a black tuxedo. His presence commanded the room. The crowd applauded. Brenda's chest tightened. He's not a driver. He's a man the world admires. Jeff spoke about giving back, about remembering the poor even when you have everything. His voice broke when he said, "Because money means nothing without love." Brenda's eyes filled with tears. She knew those words were for her. After the event, Jeff spotted her. "Brenda, please wait." But she turned and hurried away, afraid one word from him would crush her defenses. Neither could sleep. Jeff replayed her leaving 100 times. Brenda replayed his kiss, his arms, his sacrifice. Two hearts longing, but pride chained them apart. Marcus tried to encourage Jeff again. "Sir, don't push her. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Show her you care, but let her choose when to come back." Jeff sighed. "It's just, I miss her every second." Marcus placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then love her enough to wait." Jeff wrote a long letter. "I never lied to hurt you. I only wanted to be seen for who I really am. Please, don't let pride steal what we could have." But he never sent it. It stayed sealed on his desk. Then Brenda's mother collapsed again. The hospital demanded $80,000 for surgery. Brenda froze in fear. When she thought she had no hope, the bill was suddenly paid. She knew exactly who had done it. She stormed into Jeff's mansion. "Why would you pay for my mother's surgery after everything?" Jeff's voice was calm but full of emotion. "Because love doesn't disappear, Brenda, not even when it's rejected." They stood in the garden as rain sprinkled lightly. Brenda sobbed. "You broke me, Jeff. You broke me when you lied." His reply tore at her heart. "I broke myself too, Brenda. Every day without you feels like dying." Brenda collapsed into his arms, her tears soaking his shirt. It wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was a start. Later, Marcus found Brenda sitting alone. Instead of blaming her, he gently said, "Miss Brenda, I've seen the way he looks at you. That man isn't pretending. He'd give up everything just to keep you safe." Brenda's heart softened at his words. Jeff almost pulled out a ring that night, but Brenda stopped him. Not yet. I need time. I need to trust you again. So Jeff gave her space. No diamonds, no fancy cars, just flowers and handwritten notes. Brenda read them again and again, her walls slowly crumbling. Finally, one evening, Brenda walked up to Jeff. Without a word, she kissed him. Long, desperate, trembling with tears. When they pulled apart, she whispered, "This doesn't mean I've forgiven everything, but it means I still want us." Marcus quietly watched from the distance, a faint smile on his face. For the first time, he believed the storm was truly passing. Jeff took Brenda to a small diner, not a luxury restaurant. Over fries and milkshakes, they laughed like kids. Brenda smiled. "This feels real." Jeff nodded. "That's all I ever wanted." Brenda later confessed to her mom, "I love him. Not his money, not his name, just him. And I'm scared because I almost lost him." Her mom smiled weakly. "Then don't waste time, baby. Love is rare. Hold it while it's yours." That evening, Brenda sat with Jeff by the fireplace. She leaned on him and whispered, "I don't know how to fully forgive yet, but I don't want to run anymore." Jeff kissed her forehead. "That's all I need, Brenda. You. Right here. With me." Jeff sat in his study late at night, staring at the letter he had never sent to Brenda. His heart longed for her, but his pride wrestled with fear. Marcus walked in quietly. "Sir, forgive me for speaking, but sometimes holding back hurts more than speaking your truth." Jeff rubbed his forehead. "You really think she'll forgive me, Marcus?" Marcus gave a small smile. "I think she already has. She just needs you to prove you'll never break her again." The next morning, Jeff decided to stop hiding behind silence. He brought Brenda a single rose, not diamonds or pearls. With trembling hands, he said, "I still love you, Brenda, not for what I want you to be, but for who you are." Brenda's lips quivered. She wanted to resist, but her heart was softening more each day. A week later, Jeff invited Brenda out, not to a ballroom or a five-star hotel, but to the little diner he loved. They ate fries, shared milkshakes, and laughed like old friends. "This feels real," Brenda whispered. Jeff smiled warmly. "That's all I've ever wanted." Marcus watched from the car window, smiling to himself. For once, his boss wasn't the billionaire everyone feared. He was simply a man in love. Brenda's mother recovered slowly, and one afternoon she pulled Jeff aside. "Son, don't let my daughter's pride scare you. She loves you. She just needs time." Jeff nodded, tears in his eyes. "I'll wait as long as it takes." Finally, one quiet evening, Brenda came to Jeff's mansion. The fire crackled in the background as she stood nervously before him. "Jeff," she whispered, "I don't know how to erase the past, but I don't want to run anymore. I want to stay." Jeff's heart nearly burst. He pulled her close, whispering, "That's all I need, Brenda. Just stay." Days later, Marcus drove them out to the countryside. On a small hill overlooking the city lights, Jeff knelt with a velvet box in his hand. "Brenda, I don't want to hide anymore. Not my name, not my love. Will you marry me? Not because I'm Jeff Anderson, the billionaire, but because I'm the man who can't breathe without you." Brenda's tears fell freely. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Marcus clapped softly from the car, grinning like a proud brother. Their wedding was small and intimate. No gold, no flashy displays. Just family, close friends, and the vows of two people who had walked through fire to find each other again. As they kissed, Brenda whispered, "I loved you when I thought you had nothing, and I'll love you now that I know you have everything." Jeff held her tight. For the first time in his life, his wealth felt light, because it was no longer his secret burden. It was theirs. Marcus stood at the back, tears in his eyes. The loyal driver who had witnessed every storm was also there to see the sunshine. Thank you so much, my lovelies, for watching till the end. Kindly support this channel by hitting that subscribe button. Also, like, share, and comment your thoughts. Thank you so much, and see you soon.